Okay, welcome back. So, continuing the discussion of the chapter chemical kinetics. Now, what the topic we will discuss is called complex reactions. Generally, the reactions are simple, but for the multi-step reactions particularly, and I would we improvise most on the organic chemistry, organic reactions. So, those are a little bit complex compared to the what simple reaction we deal with. Now, the complex reactions are usually three types. Okay, what is that? The complex reactions. The complex reactions are three types. Number one, parallel reaction. Parallel reaction. Number two, consecutive reaction. Consecutive reactions, and number three, opposing reactions. Opposing reactions. Okay. Now, each of the reactions has its own importance. Each of the reactions has its own importance. So, what we will do? We will discuss one by one each of the reactions and form the rate integrated rate and give the expression of the rate integrated rate equation, and we will see the graph that how the reactants and the products are literally changing with respect to time. Okay. Now, first, let's discuss about the parallel reactions. Discuss about the parallel reactions. So definitely from the name itself you can see that parallel means simultaneously the reactant will give you two different parallel products. So the reactants will give you product 1 and the reactant will give you product 2. Okay, let's write this. The reactant A is giving product B and giving product C. Now let's assume that the rate constant of this reaction is K1 and the rate constant of this reaction is K2. Now take an example. Phenol. Now if I do a sulfonation using sulfuric acid, what I will get, in one case I will get a ortho-substituted product. I will get an ortho-substituted product, and another case I will get a para-substituted product. Now simultaneously these two reactions can happen. Now I haven't mentioned any kind of conditions here. But if we solve the rate equation, okay, so what will be the rate? Now for the first reaction that is concentration of dB by dt, that is the rate of formation of B with respect to A. So this is K1 multiplied by concentration of A, correct? And the rate can be with respect to C, it is dC by dt is equal to K2 into concentration of A. Okay. Now there will be a competition between these two. Now if I do a calculation and do some integration, do the integration of this, solve this this differential equation, the expression what we get is the concentration of B is equal to K1 by K1 plus K2 multiplied by concentration of A0 minus concentration of AT, where your A0 is the initial concentration of A and AT is at time. Initial concentration of A and at time t. Concentration at time t. Similarly, if I calculate concentration of C, will be K2 divided by K1 plus K2 multiplied by A0 minus AT. Now, both cases, what is happening here? The expression is almost same. But what it differs? This two part. Okay. Now, if we say put a condition here. What is the condition? I am assuming is K1 is very higher than K2. Okay, if K1 is higher than K2, then what we will get? So this K2 we can neglect for the time being, we can neglect. Okay, now if we can neglect this K2, then what we will get? Then you can think that if K1 is higher, then this production of B will be more higher. So at particular time T, what we can say that concentration of B will be higher concentration of C. Now this condition is called kinetically controlled condition, where your B is forming kinetically controlled. So now B is basically called the kinetically controlled product. Kinetically controlled product, or KCP, kinetically controlled product. But if you induce this reaction for a long time, if you do this reaction for a long time, then the C will also form. Definitely C will also form. So C is called thermodynamically controlled product, that is TCP. So here the TCP KCP formation takes place. Now coming to this example, the sulfonation of sulfuric acid, the ortho product is a kinetically controlled product. Whereas the para product is a thermodynamically controlled product. Now this is a condition, and what is the condition? That the rate constant of the first reaction, it has to be high compared to the rate constant of the parallel second reaction. It has to be. This is a condition. Okay. Now coming to the point, this reaction and all. Okay. If I plot the concentration of the if I plot the concentrations of the components with respect to time, so definitely these all are first order reactions, no doubt in that. They are a first order reaction. Okay. So what we will get if I plot the concentration with respect to time? So let's put this one. Plot the concentration with respect to time. What we will get? Any concentrations of all these three. This A definitely will decrease. Concentration of A definitely will decrease. This is for the concentration of A. Okay, because it will decrease from the time. Now, what about B and C? Now, since B is high, so this will be B, and C, this will be C. Now, if I draw a line here, so let's name this line O points P intersections Q R. Okay, O P Q R. Okay. Now, assuming that this condition that K1 is greater than K2. If I assume that K1 is greater than K2, so definitely formation of B will take place. Now here, what we can say from here, that OR by OQ, that is this distance and this distance. So OR by OQ is equal to K1 by K2. Okay. Now for any time of this reaction, any time means here, any time you will get this relation. So what people does is basically they plot the concentrations with respect to time, and from the intersections, and they make a straight line, and from the intersections they calculate the corresponding rate constants of the reactions. Okay, now this is for one time, let's say for T1, and let's say for time T2 you will get a similar kind of relation. Now you have two unknown and two relations, and you can easily solve those two relations, right? Two unknown, two relations. For one time you are getting this relation, Again time you will get the same kind of relations. So from the two relations, two unknown, you can solve the equation and you can get both values of k1 and k2. This way the people calculate the value of k1 and k2, okay, in a parallel reactions. Okay, now next reactions. Coming to the next reaction. Now the next reaction is called, it's a very important reaction obviously, number 2. This is called consecutive reaction. This is called consecutive reactions. Now what is a consecutive? Definitely it's consecutive, means one by one, one by one. So we can say in example A, let's write it here, A to B to C. Okay. Now we can think in this way that the conversion from the A to C is going via an intermediate B. We can think in this way also. Okay. Now these two reactions, let's say reactant is K1, rate constant is K1 and rate constant is K2. Okay. Now if we solve, if you try to calculate the rate of the reactions, what we can say that dB by dt with respect to dB by dt is equal to K1 multiplied by concentration of A, and since B is depleted to C, so we can write K2 into concentration of C. Now this is the rate of change in the concentration of the intermediate. Okay. Now in this reaction, one is that if you solve this reaction, okay, if you solve this reaction and concentration of A is changed to A0 to AT, if you solve this, integrate this reaction, and if you solve this reaction, the expression what you will get is basically the concentration of B, expression of the concentration of B is K1 divided by K2 minus K1, okay, A0, that is the initial concentration of A, e to the power minus e K1t minus e to the power minus K2t. Okay, this one you will get. This one you will get. Okay, now what you can see from here? This is the rate constant part. Now concentration into exponential. Concentration into exponential. So basically, the concentration of B definitely will vary with respect to the concentration, of A's initial concentration, and definitely exponentially with respect to time. So the concentration of B will decay with respect to time. Okay, exponentially decay. Achha. Now if we assume here that K1 is very greater than K2, then K1 is very greater than K2. So what we can say from here? We can say from here is that your concentration of B is almost equal to A0 into exponential of e to the power minus K1t minus e to the power minus K2t. Right? E to the power minus K1t minus e to the power minus K2t. Okay. Now if you try to plot this one, then what we will get? With respect to time, what happens? E to the power minus Kt is what? This is, let's say, and the exponential part we are plotting for any general exponential graph if we talk about. So here your K1 is larger. Okay. So if K1 is larger, then the e to the power minus K1 will have high fall. So it will decay. Faster. So this is your e to the power minus K1 into t, because K1 is larger, so the fall will be also larger. Okay, and what is K2? K2 is this one, because fall will be little bit less larger compared to the K1. Okay, now if I calculate the difference, now the difference will be what will happen? The difference basically will increase, will be positive. The difference will be positive. This is the difference. So e to the power minus k1t, e to the power minus k1t minus e to the power minus k2t. You can do this. Just take any data, okay, plot these values, okay, any series of data, plot these values, calculate this difference and show it up. Okay, you will get this kind of plot you will get. Okay, now here, so what about this one? dc by dt, that is a formation of C, formation rate of C. So this is your K2 into B, K2 into concentration of B, correct? So this B under these conditions, it will be K2 into concentration of A0 under this condition, concentration of A0 into part, the exponential part is there. Okay, now if we try to plot, so definitely in case of this concentration of C, there will be an exponential rise. There will be an exponential rise. Now if we plot, so what will happen? The concentration of C will rise exponentially. Will rise exponentially. Okay, now if we try to plot this graph, so what we will get? If we try to plot, then we will get concentration, okay. Now initially, okay, acha. Now this is your A0 value, correct? Now A will definitely decrease exponentially. This is concentration of A, that will decrease exponentially, correct? Now, so what will happen to B? Now intermediate B, if K1 is faster and K2 is slow, if K1 is faster, K2 is slow, then what will happen? The concentration of B will rapidly increase till the maximum range. Why? Because total formation of the B will take place in maximum where your A is totally depleted. So this concentration, maximum it can go towards the higher where their A is concentration limited. So maximum it will reach and then it will come down and it will be constant with, it will remain constant with respect to time. Because why? Because same amount, this is slow, K2 is slow, so the depletion from the B will be slower. So you can assume that if at a time if K1 is very faster, the A will totally convert it to the B. Now then the conversion to the B to C will be very slow process. Because the rate constant is less, so it will be a slow process. But if it is a slow process, then the concentration of B will remain almost constant in the time interval. So this is what, when we are discussing about the steady state approximation, this is what is called the steady state approximation. At that particular time, what we can say, this particular time, your dB, concentration and change dB by dt is equal to 0. This is your steady state approximation. Okay. Now, so what will happen to C? Definitely C will have a exponential rise. Okay. So now this is the nature of the graph what we did for a consecutive reactions. Okay. Now, so different organic reactions in terms of what we can say is that a reactant is converting to the product via formation of an intermediate. So you can think about SN1 reaction as this. Okay. Acha. The last reaction of this complex part, it is called the opposing reaction. Now, the opposing reaction concept is known to all of you. It's a very simple and straightforward concept. The opposing reaction. The opposing reaction. It is a very straightforward concept, I would say. Very straightforward concept. And what it tells you? It basically tells you that the product and reactant, they will both oppose to each other. They will oppose each other. So, for A, we will give a reversibility sign because the A and B will oppose to each other. This is the reversibility sign, which you all know. Okay, so definitely if opposes to each other, so there will be a forward rate and there will be a backward rate. Okay, we are just denoting the forward, where K1 is the forward rate constant, okay, and K of minus 1 is basically the backward rate constant. Okay, now both cases these reactions are first order with respect to each other. A is first order with respect to B and B is first order with respect to A. Any formation you talk about. Okay, so now minus the rate of the reaction dA by dt will be equal to what? So K1 into A, K1 multiplied by A, and since A is forming again by the depletion of this B, so we will say minus K2 into B, sorry, K minus 1 into B. Okay, now if I solve this reaction, what I will get? Okay, now before going to that solve, we can say that these reactions will follow a certain rule that after a particular time, okay, the reaction will be in equilibrium. Since in both cases they are first order with respect to each other, so we can say that, okay, with respect to time, if I plot the concentration, initially let's say this is your A0, concentration of A. So definitely after a certain time your concentration will decrease. Concentration of A will decrease, and at the same time your concentration of B will increase. Now, increasing the concentration of B and decreasing the concentration of A, after a time what will happen? In both cases, the rate of formation of B will be equal to rate of formation of A. Okay, this will be equal, and this condition is we call as the equilibrium condition. Okay, acha. So in the equilibrium, what we know, the free energy, the change in free energy is basically 0. Okay, now if your K1 is very larger than K minus 1, that means more formation of B takes place. And that means the more the forward reaction. Now similarly, if you have K minus 1 greater than K1, then more the A formation. Then I would say this reaction is fast reaction. And if there is the opposite, that is K minus 1 is very greater than K1, so this is a slow reactions. Now most of the reactions which usually follows this relation, this one, okay, if that means that reaction is a slow reaction, and your product formation will take place, but it will take place in a lower extent. So how we influence these factors? Now this is a reversible reaction example, condition of a reversible reaction or opposing reaction. Now how we influence these conditions, which you have already read in class 11 in chapter chemical equilibrium, we can influence this condition by influencing the concentration or the reaction conditions and the concentration of the reactants and products, and that is basically nothing but the consequence of the Last-Arrhenius principle. Okay, so basically how you can influence this reaction, you can, let's say this backward reaction is very high, so I will introduce some condition that will reverse this thing, or the rate will be little bit faster, rate of the forward reaction will be little bit faster, so that will influence you in the formation of the product. So this way you can play around with the reactions, and this is all from your opposing reactions, and together all the parallel reactions, the consecutive reactions and the opposing reactions, together we will see these reactions as a complex reaction. Now this is all from your complex reaction.